Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Thursdays with AARP. If you're looking for your regular hosts, Amber Miller or Darren Wisniewski, we've given them the week off, and I, Sam Wilson, State Director for AARP Wisconsin, will be taking over hosting duties today for our show. It's great to be back on the show, and today we're going to be talking about a topic that is of great interest to AARP and indeed has great impact across the state of Wisconsin and literally hundreds of thousands of Wisconsinites across the state that deal with caregiving issues on a day-to-day basis. But before we get into our topics and meet our other guests for today's show, I want to remind everybody to get if you want more information about AARP programming, or you want to know what's going on with our advocacy work, our community outreach work, our community service work, don't hesitate to go to our website at aarp.org/WI. Again, aarp.org/WI. We always like to direct people to our website as well, because you can also register for upcoming events that may be happening. And we'll tease some of those events later on in the show after we get through our content today. So make sure you stay to the end. You can see some upcoming virtual programming as we inch ever so closely back to in-person events. We still have some great virtual events on the calendar that we want to get you registered for. Also, if you've been interested in watching AARP content for some time now and you want to take the leap and do a little volunteering for AARP, we'd certainly welcome you to join our volunteer ranks here in the state of Wisconsin. You can do so by going to www.aarp.org/I want to volunteer. You see the link at the bottom of the screen there. You can see any volunteer opportunities that might exist in the state of Wisconsin. We'd love to have you join us, whether it be for community outreach work, again, our advocacy work, or some of our community service programs like driver safety and tax aid. Will get you directed to the right place depending on your interests. So caregiving obviously is a huge issue in every state and is felt by hundreds of thousands of Wisconsinites on each and every year. In fact, the statistics show that roughly 600,000 Wisconsinites find themselves as caregivers at any time in any given year. And the economic value of that care that they provide is almost $7 billion, if you can believe that. Over 490 million hours of care, uncompensated and unpaid care, is given each and every year. So the statistics around the economic and personal impact of Wisconsinites is astounding. And we like to find resources and opportunities that help alleviate some of those challenges for Wisconsinites who are on that sort of heroic caregiving journey and often doing much of it by themselves. And today we have just that opportunity with our two expert guests who are coming to us as part of a partnership with the United Way and 211 that has created a pilot program that can provide resources to people in the community. In fact, help connect people to resources that already exist. So with that, I'd like to see if we can bring on Rachel Brightman and Aaron England into the program, since they truly are the experts on this topic. Welcome, Rachel. Welcome, Aaron. Good to see you both.
Hi, good to be here.
You sound fantastic. So it looks like we're got the technology working. So let's jump right into it, since our shows here on Thursdays are fast and furious. So perhaps tell us a little bit about the caregiving pilot that 211 currently has underway in Wisconsin as a starter.
Yeah, so our pilot program began around November, December of 2020. We set out to support caregivers. I mean, you mentioned how much unpaid work and care we caregivers experience every single year, and we wanted to kind of provide a little bit more of support to caregivers experiencing this. So our program mainly offers supportive listening, and then we also are able to connect caregivers to any resources that they may need. So we span like quite a few different regions of support, with mental health, self-care, financial support, and it goes on and on.
And so one of the statistics that we often see is people who are caregivers for a loved one in person spend about $7,000 of their own money in any given year in support of those caregiving, supports. And then if it's a long distance caregiver situation, it can be upwards of $12,000 a year. So can you tell us a little bit about, so I hear you saying, Rachel, that this sort of there's almost like a connective tissue being created with this pilot. Can we talk about some of the resources that people are usually looking for, or some of the resources that you connect caregivers with? So either Rachel or Aaron, whoever would prefer to respond.
I can take that one. So typically what a lot of people are looking for, what we find a lot of people are needing or wanting help with, number one, I would say, is respite care. Just someone to help care for their loved ones, so it's not all on them, or just maybe provide some intermittent care or things like that. And so that's one of the resources I think that we frequently be connecting people to. Local ADRCs are a good resource. So we're going to work kind of in partnership with local ADRCs in Wisconsin, which are Aging and Disability Resource Centers. So that's a good place to kind of help connect people to. And then people are looking for a variety of different things. And so I think, we've developed a large kind of guided search, and then we can help people through the process of connecting to, if they're looking for medical equipment, if they're looking for help with advanced directives, trying to navigate all that because it's complicated. Support groups that might be beneficial. There's just a myriad of things that we're hoping to help connect people to.
Yeah, and that's pretty much the astounding thing that I always think about when it comes to caregiving resources is that so oftentimes there are resources in the community, whether it's a support group or something else, but oftentimes they're just not marketed a lot, or they're not advertised a lot, or it's through word of mouth. And so it's great to have this resource that can serve as that central point of directing people to resources and services that might be in their community. So how does a person know if participation in this pilot is right for them? How do people connect into it? How do they figure out whether or not this would be a good tool for them?
Yeah, so our program serves any adult caring for someone in any way over the age of 18. So a lot of our caregivers are caring for adults with disabilities, elderly folks, people recovering from major surgeries, pretty much anything where you have to dedicate some of your time in any way to caring for another individual. And I think Erin spoke on this well, that, we also want to emphasize that being a caregiver does not necessarily mean a full-time gig. So if you're driving someone to another location, if you're making meals for another person, anything like that where you are taking time out of your day to provide care to another adult, we encourage you to sign up and join our program. And we serve folks up to a 10-week basis, and basically any amount of times you want to connect with us, we're there for you. We're there to meet you where you're at. If you just want a quick call to point you in the right direction to some resources, we're happy to do that. And if you want more of a supportive listening, more of a connection on a more personal level, we are also happy to do that as well.
So that's somebody who's experiencing, they're in the caregiving journey themselves. What about the instance where they know somebody who's doing caregiving, right? And they want to refer them, like they've heard about this service, but their friend or relative may not have heard about it at this point. Can someone refer someone else into the pilot?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, we have also partnered with because you know sometimes caregiving can be a lot and it can take a lot of energy. So we've actually had loved ones of caregivers participate in our program to provide resources to their caregiver or to the person that is caregiving. So anyone can refer. You can refer yourself if you're a caregiver. You can refer if you are like if you know someone who's a caregiver who would benefit from this program, or you know if you work with an agency, you can ask them to refer you. Basically any way that you want to get involved in our program, you can absolutely do that.
So the obvious connection to what we've all experienced over the last 16 months is the challenge has been made even greater around caregiving, right? Keeping everybody safe and healthy, and connecting services that may or may not be available to, you know, that were used to be available. So I want to go to the question that's in the chat, which I think is a really great one. So has 211 seen an increase in calls since COVID started? Has there been sort of more reaching out for help and supportive services for caregivers? Have you seen that, what, or heard anything anecdotally?
I feel like 211 on a whole, definitely with the pandemic and everything preceding or following, that people just needing more help, finances being tight for a lot of people. I think that we have definitely seen more people reaching out and more people kind of realizing 211 is out there and what we're about, and that we can help and connect people to resources. So I think it's been good in that we've been able to support people through this obviously difficult time, caregivers included. So especially, I mean, I know we've had caregivers who weren't able to see loved ones for a time. And then by the time they were able to, they realized, oh, there's a lot of things going on here. I need help. You know, this person is needing help with these things. And if we can be there for that, you know, we want to be. So
Yeah. No, that's well, and that's why we do shows like this, is to make sure people know about 211, or whether it's our members of the general public who are watching this on our YouTube channel. The more people that know about the resources and the availability of this and the services that 211 can provide, whether about caregiving or some other service, the better it is. There's another question in our chat, which I think is probably the $1 million question from Arlene. It's, okay, so this is great. How do I sign up? So how does somebody sign up for the pilot?
Yeah, so we have a pretty accessible form that you can fill out online. And basically what you do is you get to the form, which can be found on the main page of our website here. So you'll see this banner, and if you were to click it, it's actually a clickable link. It's a carousel, so we'll have to cycle through again. But once you do click this link, it'll take you to, here we go, to the main page of our program. And then if you were to scroll down, you can see that red button right there, refer someone you know to the Caregiver Outreach Program. And this will take you directly to our short survey that you can fill out. And, you know, it's just a general information about demographics, your interest, and then you can provide your email or your phone number so that we can contact you.
So it seems pretty easy as far as an online resource. So is there another, you know, way to, so not everybody obviously has the internet, right? So what do we do for somebody that, if you want to refer somebody that you know, or you want to suggest the service to somebody, but you know they don't have internet service, what's the next step for someone like that?
yeah, it is as simple as calling 211. dial 211 on your phone. You'll have to put in your zip code, but until whoever answers the phone, it'll be answered by a 211 operator. Let them know that you're interested in the caregiver outreach program, and they will get you connected to Rachel or I. There's also, Rachel, did you want to give out that? There's a 10-digit number as well.
There is a 10-digit number. It is listed on the form, the survey form for the referral. So if you want to just get directly connected to me, you can call. But, you know, if you do dial 211, they will direct you right to my voicemail box.
And so the question then I always have is, we talk about 211 as being ubiquitous. It's everywhere. I can pick up a phone in Ashland or Beloit. Is that true? Can anyone, no matter where they live in Wisconsin, pick up the phone today or after watching this program, dial 211 and talk to somebody?
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just want to specify that this is a statewide program, so anyone in Wisconsin is able to participate.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's great to know. So we talked about that even if somebody doesn't want to participate in this particular pilot, they can still, so just help me remember, can they still call 211 for other caregiving resources, even if they're like, I don't want to be a part of this piece of it, but I appreciate what 211 offers. I'd still like to get some of that information. Is that still available to folks who are needing that information and resources?
Yes. So if you want to just call 211 and, you know, you have a specific ask, like, for example, I need access to a wheelchair ramp. How do I get that? A 211 specialist will direct you to a specific resource or a few resources that can provide that information. And we are also, oh, sorry, Sam, but we are also in the process of developing, for those who are more comfortable online, a guided search tool so that you can kind of navigate the resources on your own.
So what popped into my head, Rachel, and I, it popped into my head and almost blurted out of my mouth, was when something's a pilot, by its very nature, it's sort of temporary in time and space. So can you tell the audience a little bit about what being a part of potentially the caregiver pilot means, how long the support would last, and all of that, just so people have a good sense or an expectation about how long this support is available?
Yeah, absolutely. So our program, you know, it is temporary, so we're not exactly sure on the end date as of right now. But at this moment, we are, there is a 10-week period in which we can contact you. So some caregivers prefer to be contacted once a week, twice a week, every other week, once a month. It really depends on what you feel would work for your schedule and your needs. So, you know, we have caregivers who just have a quick question or want to get connected with an outreach specialist for that more personal connection. And then we also have caregivers who we talk to on a weekly basis to offer that supportive listening. Just, you know, things can change really fast. So we're always there to guide you through or to provide that supportive listening.
Yeah, I know a lot of what we focused on in the last 12 to 16 months, and we had a Friendly Voices caller program as well at AERP, is that a lot of people experience social isolation and loneliness over the last 12 to 16 months who may not have otherwise felt that before in their lives. And I think those of us that have felt that now can relate better to caregivers who often find themselves socially isolated, you know, because they have to take care of their loved one. They may not have the resources, as we all talked about. We may not have respite care that allows you to get out of the house and go to church or the grocery store or, you know, walk or whatever. So I think there's a really nice confluence of factors that are coming together to make this something that people are thinking about more today than they ever have probably before. Aaron, if you were to give the 30-second elevator pitch to someone as to why they should consider being involved in the pilot, what would you tell them? What is it, how can they benefit from it? And what is it that they can really gain?
For one, I would say people just don't necessarily know what's out there, and you don't know unless you ask. So calling and having these conversations with us where we can say, did you know that this exists? Or someone says, here's my problem. And we say, oh, we may have a solution. Let me connect you to this resource. So I think as far as like connection to resources, we can be super helpful in that respect. But the second thing I would say is that just the support, like having someone, if you're wanting someone to talk to, run things by, just supportive listening, which can be huge for caregivers because it is a very stressful or can be a very stressful job. So just we can be there to support people through that in addition to connecting them with resources. So it's kind of a twofold. I think if you are caregiving, it can't hurt to connect with us and see what's out there.
Yeah. If we, I noted that the discussion about the pilot was it's available not just to older adults, right? So I think of that for AARP, of course, our population, but it's available to people, anyone who's a caregiver of someone who is 18 years and older. Was I correct about that?
That is correct. So it can be someone suffering from an illness, someone with disabilities of some sort, as long as the person they're caring for is over the age of 18. That's kind of where we cater our program.
So that leads me to another question. So that the person you're caring for doesn't necessarily have to have a long-term or chronic condition. It could be just, we often talk about in caregiving, we love to make plans, right? And you're like, okay, mom's aging and this is going to happen slowly. But the reality is many of us turn into caregivers overnight. Something happens and all of a sudden, my gosh, my world has been upended. So it's a good reiteration on your parts that even if it's a short-term thing, people need help and supports, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we also, with that overnight, we can definitely provide support in that way. And we also provide preparing to be a caregiver and then also transitioning out of caregiving. So we can meet you at all different types of steps with caregiving, any kind of situation where you have to care for someone over the age of 18, we're there to support.
Well, I want to round out our discussion, and I see Arlene's comment to follow up from her question. She said, this is great info. I plan to share it with others. And that's certainly, thank you for that, Arlene. And we hope that that's exactly what happens as part of this. And while we have our live show today, it will live forever. Rachel and Aaron, you will be YouTube famous as a result of this. And hopefully people will come to our YouTube page and learn more about all the caregiving offerings that 211 is making available through the pilot, and not just the pilot, but beyond. As we talked about, there are so many other connections that 211 can make for folks outside of this. I got another comment here you'll see from Amber Monique. I'll be sharing this out to my network too. So it's great to see that our viewers are finding a lot of value in the information that you are sharing. So in the last minute that we have, I'm going to give each of you 30 seconds to tell the audience, what do you want to leave them with? What action do you want them to take? And Rachel, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think my final thing would just to be, if you think you fall into this program, if you think you fit, please call 211. We are always there to direct you in the right place. If you just want a brief piece of information, we're happy to help. And if you want that more involved relationship, we're also there for you.
Perfect. Aaron, what do you got for the audience?
Rachel pretty well covered it, but I would say, it can't hurt to call. So I would say call and see what it is we can offer. try it out. And all you have to do is call 211 and ask to be a part of the program. It's very simple. But we love to make connections with caregivers. This is kind of Rachel and my passion. So we would love to talk with you and get you connected to things that might help or be beneficial to you.
Well, sometimes that's all anyone needs to hear, is that there's a welcoming voice on the other end of the phone looking to provide them a little support. So Rachel and Aaron from 211 United Way of Wisconsin, I want to thank you both for coming on today, sharing this new and exciting pilot that's happening in Wisconsin and a few other states around the country. Hopefully we set a model that can be replicated in other parts of the country. And I know we're doing a lot of great for the nearly 600,000 caregivers across Wisconsin who are always looking for resources that can help them in their caregiving journey. So thank you to you both for the work that you're doing, and thank you to 211 and United Way of Wisconsin for your contributions to the work that's going on around caregiving. So appreciate that. As we look for, you bet, thank you. As we look forward to future events with AARP Wisconsin, I want to remind people of some of the upcoming ways you can connect with content that we have here in Wisconsin. As you'll see here, we have upcoming virtual events as soon as tomorrow. So our Movies for Grown-Ups, which I gotta say, I'm really looking forward to starting back up in person, hopefully in the not too distant future. But for now, virtual event of screening of the movie All the Streets Are Silent next Tuesday and next Friday. We also have virtual events, Cool History Ices, Gelatos, Sorbet, and more. Sign me up for that one. And then another movie next Friday. And then it looks like the Wisconsin State Fair is a great fair. We certainly all know that. But we'll be reminded of that through our virtual events. And you did see the link below and the 800 number where you can obviously sign up for that. I also want to remind folks that you can connect with AARP through our website at aarp.org/WI. Again, AARP/org. WI, certainly we want people to start there first and foremost when they get that bug to have a engagement or interaction with AARP Wisconsin. But I also want to remind folks that this Thursday with AARP literally happens every Thursday, and I'm actually going to be back next week, I think, again. So second in a row for me. Next Thursday we'll have the topic is Connected Communities Addressing Social Isolation and Loneliness in Wisconsin. There's some exciting new work happening in Wisconsin. In fact, a statewide coalition has formed with over 135 organizations that have raised their hand and said, we're interested in addressing these issues in our state and in our communities. So we hope that you'll tune in next Thursday for that programming. We'll have guests from the Department of Health Service as well, who is really spearheading a lot of the work at the state government level. And then, of course, we'll talk a little bit about some of the best practices that we've had. Also, I want to do a reminder of our ongoing small dollar, big impact grants. Of course, the mantra for that program is do a radical thing on a non-radical scale. Fantastic program where we're giving out $1,000. Actually, I think it's now two grants each month, so $1,000 each through the Wisconsin Small Dollar Big Impact Program. If you have an idea in your community for $1,000 or less that you think could have a tremendous impact on the livability of your community, go ahead and go to that website that you see listed there. Application deadline for the next month is July 21st, so just right around the corner. So we hope you'll take advantage of that if you have some great ideas. So again, I want to thank you on behalf of AARP Wisconsin for tuning in for this week's Thursdays with AARP Topic, talking about caregivers and a really interesting pilot that AARP is engaged in with United Way of Wisconsin and 211. We know that you'll find some great resources there. We hope that you'll continue to tune in to our YouTube channel, looking for new and interesting content on a weekly basis. And we appreciate you joining us today. So have a great day, and we'll see you next week.